Let's do it.
This is the SEC Insider Hit. And it's presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue.
And good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming live on thezone1059.com and the Out of Bounds radio app. The show is brought to you by the Ram Trucks at Mack Hike and Flowood. Exciting week this week as we get college football kicked off. And we can tell from our listeners that y'all are locked in and ready to go. The NFL will start a week from this Thursday. We're very excited to have a special guest in studio. We've had him on before, but first time live in studio. And he is Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Governor, good morning. Welcome in.
Thanks, Bo. It's great to be here today.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time. I know you've been extremely busy lately with the challenges as far as the water issues in Jackson. If you want to kind of walk us through that, where y'all are right now.
Absolutely. So it was yesterday was August the 29th. It was actually the 17th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina making landfall in the state of Mississippi. I was down on the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast yesterday talking a lot about Katrina, but and really what we talked about yesterday was not only the challenges that Katrina brought, but really the spirit of Mississippians and the help that we gave to each other, and the people across America came to Mississippi to help us recover. And when I think about this water situation in the city of Jackson, I think you're going to see the same thing. It's obviously no governor has ever run for governor thinking I really want to run a municipal water system. But the reality is when you look at the risk associated with not having running water for an extended period of time, I felt it was necessary that we as a state step in, collaborate with the local government and the local jurisdictions and work together to solve this problem, because there are 151,000 people who live in the city, probably 30,000 at least that come in to work every single day. And it's important that we recognize the risk associated with where we find ourselves and find solutions to these challenges. When I ran for governor, I ran telling people that I wasn't going to hide our problems, I was going to fix our problems. And we've certainly had an awful lot of natural disasters that we've had to deal with. But it's interesting to be here today because really in my life, Bo, I really do two things today. These days, I literally work and I watch my kids play sports.
Yes.
And I won't tell you which one of those I enjoy the most. I think it's probably pretty clear and pretty obvious, but those are the two things I do, and we're going to talk a little sports today as well. So,
Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds Show. And you've talked about this before, but the impact of sports on young people. You played sports growing up, and you take all these life lessons from sports as you get older, and you apply them to, becoming a grown man and getting into your profession and so on. It's such a powerful, powerful tool for so many of our youth around the state of Mississippi.
No question. And there are an awful lot of kids throughout Mississippi that, in large part, choose to stay in school so they can stay eligible to play sports, right? And I used to joke that I went to Millsaps to play basketball, and I just lucked into a great education. And the reality is there are a lot of kids across Mississippi that maybe can't find a lot of purpose in what they're doing in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, but they certainly know that they want to stay eligible to play football or play basketball, and so they do the necessary studies. And as we all know, a very, very small percentage of us actually grow up and make money doing sports. But just think about the lessons that are learned from kids all across the state. You learn how to win, but you also learn how to lose. You learn that how to get better, and by and large, you get better by working hard at whatever it is that you're doing, and that's lessons that will serve these individual young people well throughout the rest of their life. You look at successful people throughout Mississippi, throughout America, regardless of their profession, and I will tell you, most of them most likely played some sort of sport growing up, and they learn the right lessons. There are those who learn the wrong lessons, but most of the successful people in life learn the right lessons.
Did you you grew up here, obviously, and did you ever think, as governor, that you would be the governor of the state of Mississippi and be able to celebrate 2 national championship teams in back-to-back years in the same sport within 12 months, with Mississippi State and Ole Miss accomplishing what they did?
I think it's a pretty good re-election campaign. 2 national championships. Look, I grew up loving college baseball. I wasn't a particularly good baseball player. A lot of folks would just say I wasn't a particularly good basketball player or anything else, quite frankly. But I wasn't a great baseball player, but I grew up loving college baseball. I've been to the College World Series numerous times out in Omaha. And to see State win the national championship in 2021, followed by Coach Bianco and Ole Miss winning it last year, it's been a great experience to watch because I know that I have the opportunity to not only know the leadership at the 2 universities, but also having thrown out the first pitch at the Governor's Cup game numerous times, even during my tenure as lieutenant governor, getting to know the coaches of the 2 universities. They're good people. They're good people. The kids that they recruit are good kids, and so to see those 2 win national championships, it shows you what's possible. I have on today, as you've seen, one of the first shirts I got from a national championship won by a Mississippi institution. East Mississippi Community College in 2013 won the football national championship. Now, of course, that kind of blew up into TV shows and all kind of neat things. But what I tell my kids and what I tell the people of Mississippi all the time is I believe in my heart that we can compete with anyone anywhere in the world. And I don't care if it's junior college football or SEC baseball. You give us a chance to compete, we can compete and we can win. And that's true certainly in sports, which we've proven, but we're also competing in the field of K through 12 academics. You know, for a long time, for instance, people said Mississippi had the 50th best K through 12 education system in America. And for a long time, maybe they had an argument, but it's just simply not true anymore. Actually, if you look at the most recent rankings, Mississippi's ranked 32nd overall in K through 12 education. The reason we're ranked 32nd is because our 4th grade reading and 4th grade math results, our 8th grade reading and 8th grade math results are just incredible what we've seen over the last 10 years. In each of the last 3 years, our 4th grade reading and 4th grade math, our 10-year growth numbers are number 1 in the nation. So, in essence, I tell folks we've won the national championship in 4th grade reading and 4th grade math because we've done better than every other state in the entire country. And we ought to brag about that a little bit more because success begets success. And that's one of the things you learn growing up playing sports is that, momentum matters. And people get a taste of victory and they like it. And they work harder to win the next game or win the next opportunity. And so it's look, I'm optimistic about our future because of that.
Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I want to follow up with that before we get back into sports. With technology and software, it's been able to break down the wall and us to get to our kids in rural Mississippi and give them a better opportunity to get to junior college or a 4-year college or a trade school, which is a powerful tool for Mississippi.
No question. You know, the way I describe it is as follows. 200 years ago, people in America moved around where rivers were, where the waterways were. 100 years ago in America, people moved around where the train tracks were. Now people move where there is connectivity. And it's one of the reasons that one of our initiatives has been to significantly enhance broadband access to kids in rural areas. Obviously, that helps with adults as well. We've created an office of broadband within the governor's office to oversee those efforts. We've worked with the federal government and the state government to ensure that we have resources that we're currently deploying to make sure that everyone has access to connectivity, and it's going to help close the gap without any question. The other thing that we've done, I think that's been really important, a decision that we've made, is we kept our kids in the classroom over the last couple of years. There's no doubt that when kids are not in the classroom, the likelihood that they are learning is much lower than if they are in the classroom. We see that in test results in other states maybe that chose not to be open during COVID. We knew there were risks associated with opening classrooms, but we made the decision that the risk associated with not opening classrooms was greater than the risk associated with opening them. And our kids, and to their credit, our teachers stepped up. They got in front of those classrooms. They taught those kids, and our kids responded. And because of that, we're gonna see continued upward movement in our overall education rankings because our kids have been in the classroom learning.
I see record enrollment, freshman classes around the state, and ACT scores. I love that's part of the K through 12 that you're referencing. Success the last decade plus. Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. All right, let's switch gears. Talk about how exciting it is for you to see packed college football stadiums in college towns across the state of Mississippi this fall, and what it means for small businesses throughout the state of Mississippi.
Well, our college towns are thriving. In fact, with very few exceptions, the vast majority of Mississippi is thriving economically right now. But our college towns are certainly leading their way. When you think about Hattiesburg and Oxford and Starkville, we're seeing a lot of growth in those areas. We're seeing a lot of small businesses that have been around for a long time that are thriving, and we're also seeing the increase in the number of small businesses, and a large part of that is because on these 7 or 8 Saturdays in the fall, you have a whole lot of people that come into town, go to dinner, go to have cocktails, go tailgate, have a great time, and it's just great to see in those communities throughout the state of Mississippi. You know, you look at a stadium that's got 60 to 70,000 people in it, screaming and hollering for their alma mater, and it's just a fun time, right? It's just a fun time, and I think one of the things that one of the downsides of COVID that we've seen is some of the mental health issues that have occurred around the country, and certainly we're not immune from that in Mississippi, but it is good to have outlets. It's good to have opportunities for people to enjoy themselves. And while I certainly care, because I think if you're going to keep score, you ought to try to win, but just to give people the opportunity, regardless of the outcome of the game, to go and enjoy themselves for 3 or 4 hours after a long week of work is exciting.
I was telling these guys who are a lot younger than you and I, Governor, that
most everybody's a lot younger than you and I, right?
Well, that flipped on us in the last few years. When you and I were growing up, most of the games were at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Now all people know is going to Starkville, which is great. I mean, like you said, it's made those towns boom, including Hattiesburg. But the bulk of the home games, I guess, on a neutral site when you and I were growing up was those Mississippi State and Ole Miss doubleheaders at Memorial Stadium.
Well, I will tell you, as someone who now lives in downtown Jackson, I miss those. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
I can remember growing up, I went to an awful lot of games at Memorial Stadium. I remember my aunt is a graduate of the University of Southern Mississippi and was a big fan of the Golden Eagles, and I remember going to a game. I grew up a Mississippi State fan. I claim neutrality now because I did go to Millsaps, right. But I went to an Ole Miss USM game at an early age with my aunt, and I'll never forget some of the signs that I got to read from the Ole Miss student section. Suffice it to say, they weren't so crazy about Hardy Street, and I didn't even know where Hardy Street was at the time. Right. I must have been 10 years old, but I learned quickly, and so I got a geography lesson at that particular game. I learned some words that I'd never heard before as well, so it was really a great opportunity.
Life lessons. You know, I tell my kids, Governor, that there was no such thing as club level or suites when you and I were growing up at Veterans Memorial Stadium. You sat in the stands, and that's just how you rolled. and they're like, they look at me like I'm crazy.
I will tell you, I get excited come college football season, but one of the things that excites me, having grown up and seeing those full stadiums at what was Veterans Memorial Stadium in the day, to see what Dion is doing with Jackson State, filling up that stadium, absolutely awesome. And I've had the opportunity to get to know Primetime pretty well. And he really cares about the kids that he's coaching. He stands up for them. He cares about Jackson State University. He cares about the city. And I just commend him for what he's doing there. He's got a pretty good Twitter game too, right?
He does he's got a good Twitter game. They were unbelievable on the field last year. Talk that they may go undefeated this year. And, you know what happened? It got to a point where about only 5,000 or 10,000 people were showing up. W.C. Gordon was winning big when you and I were growing up. Sure. They were just coming off Walter Payton and Jackie Slater. So, I mean, Jackson State was awesome when you and I were growing up. Then they kind of lost their way, and I never thought we would see 60-plus thousand people going back to Jackson State games. That's a huge deal, as you said, for J-State and for him to – and he's pumping with his connections, as you know. He's pumping a lot of money into Jackson State academically and athletically.
No question. And he's to be commended for that.
So with your schedule, Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds show, with your schedule, and I know it's hectic depending on what's going on, but I know you try to attend or watch as many games of the Mississippi schools as you can as we get this thing kicked off.
No doubt. I try every single year to attend at least one home game of State and Ole Miss and USM. I also try to attend a game of one of our SWAC schools. I don't get it every year. I was able when Alcorn was doing so well to get down there and watch them win some SWAC championships. That was an awful lot of fun. One of the challenges I have now, I've got a daughter that's a senior in high school and one that's a sophomore in high school, and then I have a fifth grader. And at least the two youngest are big soccer players, and they play a lot of soccer on weekends. And so if I have to pick between going to a great college football game or watching my kids play, I typically choose to watch my kids play.
Right.
But I will tell you that I love to be on campus. I love to sit down and just watch the crowds enjoy themselves and watch the kids go out and fight for their teammates. And look, I think we got a chance to have some really good teams this year. It looks really, really good. No doubt Southern's going to be improved. Seems to be an awful lot of excitement around Coach Hall and his staff. Mississippi State is going to be improved as well. I don't think there's any doubt. Coach Leach, again, someone who has a great Twitter game, is doing a great job in Starkville. And look, I had the last college football game I've watched in person was the Sugar Bowl. So I got to watch Ole Miss after winning 10 regular season games, I think for the first time ever, certainly the first time in a long time, go to the Sugar Bowl last year. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I can't wait.
It's a good fall.
Yes. Governor Tate Reeves on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. He joins us on the Yingling Lager guest line. And we're talking college football and game day. It starts this week, and we've got games throughout the state of Mississippi, so it's going to be very exciting. Plus, high school football has gotten kicked off the last few weeks. I want to switch gears. Mississippi is the birthplace of America's music, as you well know. And we've got the Blues Trail, which is unbelievable, and we've got the Country Music Trail. I think you were down on the coast a couple of weeks ago to see Randy Houser and Jamie Johnson and that whole crew who went through the Mississippi Gulf Coast, raising a ton of money for pancreatic cancer, which is awesome. And Randy Houser's from Lake Mississippi, which I did not know until a few weeks ago. I was there the next night, but it's pretty exciting, all the live music that we've got going on in this state, Governor, between the Brandon Amphitheater, the college towns, Thalliamara, and the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
It is incredible, and it's really, if you think about the history of music and the fact that Mississippi is the birthplace of America's music. You think about all the way back to Jimmy Rogers from Meridian, Mississippi. Obviously, B.B. King from there in Indianola, Mississippi. You think about Elvis, and I think the movies come back recently, right? I haven't seen the movie yet, but the birthplace of Elvis being in Tupelo, and I was up there last week, and the tourism has just spiked in recent weeks and months after the new movie came out. And so, you think about all of the talent that has come out of Mississippi. It's absolutely amazing. And so it's one of the reasons that we as a state invested in the Grammy Museum. I mean, there is
Boy, that's nice.
I mean, you talk about a cool facility. And what I like to tell people is, look, here's the deal. There are 2 Grammy museums in the world. One of them's in California, where nobody wants to go there, and the other one's in Cleveland, Mississippi, right? So, and there's a reason it's in Cleveland, Mississippi. Obviously, the music program at Delta State is certainly well known and well respected, but it's because of all of the Grammy winners that we have from Mississippi. It's an incredible group, and it makes you proud. And it also just shows you that there's a lot of people in Mississippi with a lot of talent, and they're doing well.
Wow.
Randy's a special dude, and look, I talked to him a lot when he was down here a week or so ago, and he and Jamie, they're really interested in helping raise money. If we run into a situation where we have a major hurricane or something like that, if we do a celebrity concert or whatever, these guys want to come help. They've built a lot of friendships in Mississippi. Obviously, Randy and Jamie both played at my inauguration, and I knew them before, but we got to be good buds.
How
and
cool is
they're
that?
just really, really, really good guys. And Jamie's actually from just outside of Montgomery, Alabama, but we claim him here in Mississippi because he and Randy are obviously good buds, and Randy's proud to be from Lake Mississippi.
We're going to wrap it up. I've got about a minute and a half. Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds show. We talk recruiting all the time. College football, basketball, baseball. You and your team are always recruiting businesses to the state of Mississippi. You've had a lot of exciting things happen the last few months. I'm sure y'all have all kinds of things on the table that you can't discuss. But how excited are you about recruiting businesses to the state of Mississippi and the economic development piece?
It's the reason I ran for governor. I want to spend 95% of my time talking to CEOs inside Mississippi and outside Mississippi, encouraging those inside Mississippi to expand their businesses, to hire more people, and encouraging those from outside the state to just give us a look. Because the fact of the matter is, Bo, whether it's economic development or tourism, the biggest challenge Mississippi has is convincing people to come here once. If they ever come here, they tend to really like what they see. And it's the reason we've had such success. I mean, if you look at through the first 6 months of 2022, we've had $1.6 billion in new capital investments in our state. That's twice what we saw in an average year in the previous 10 years for the whole year. And so we're going to have a record year in 2022, but it's because we have the workforce that we can sell. People ask, every CEO asks, tell me about your workforce. Am I going to be able to hire the kind of people that I need to deliver the products that I want to produce to the marketplace? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes, because we are investing in our people, and we have good people in our state, and we just got to work to bring better and higher paying jobs to them.
Governor Tate Reeves on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Thank you so much for coming in studio today.
Been a pleasure.
Best of luck. We'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, that much closer to week 1, game week, right here in the state of Mississippi.